So let's go ahead and build our Merlin the Math Magician game. So just to outline some general objectives of this video, at the end of it, by the end of it, you should be able to, in the Unity editor, demonstrate a working knowledge of the Unity editor and basic workspace panels. Create a UI canvas and UI elements such as buttons, images, text, and even input fields. Create and import new assets like sprites, scripts, and fonts, and also uh, you learn how to create a font asset, which is what is required by the TMP Pro Text Mesh Pro component. We're also going to learn how to add components to game objects and link them to project assets. In terms of scripting, we're going to be learning how to define, initialize, and manipulate public and private variables. When do we make variables public, and why do we make it public, especially in terms of or in the context of Unity. We're going to be learning how to create custom functions, in particular callback functions for our listeners, which is the third point. We're going to learn how to add event listeners to game objects. In this case, we'll add it to a button or buttons, button instances. We are also going to learn how to perform type conversion, converting a string to an integer type, data type. And you're going to be using simple math operators to create an algorithm to guess the final result. Alright, without further ado, let's begin. Alright, so the first step is to launch your Unity Hub. Installation of Unity, as you know, involves two steps: installing the hub and then installing an editor. So here I have my project listing, and here we have our editor. So I'm using 2022.20 F1. Yours may differ depending on when you're viewing this and following along. So I'm going ahead and create a new project. It's going to be a 2D project, and I'm going to just use this for now, and we'll call this Merlin the Math Magician. Let's go ahead and create that project. This is going to take a while, so I'm just going to stop the video, and when it's done, we will resume when it's complete. And we will have opened our editor by then. So if you're following along, you can do the same. The editor pops up, and you can follow along when we resume. Alright, so we are inside of the Unity editor. A couple of things we want to point out quickly. There are three main panels that we want to really familiarize ourselves with. Three main areas. So this layout, if ever you run into problems and some panels disappear, you can always go reset all layouts, and that's fine. Alright, there are different layouts, so we want the default layout. So this is our default layout. Just go here, default layout, and this is it. Alright, so let's see all layouts. There's a hierarchy panel. If you work with any graphic design software, the hierarchy panel is similar to the layers panel in Illustrator and Photoshop. Right, here is our main screen, our main panel, where we basically drag and drop elements from our hierarchy or assets folder into here, into our scene panel. So there are two main ones. There's the scene and the game. So the scene is where you drop your assets, game objects, etc. And the game actually shows you the view from within the camera. So notice in this hierarchy here, we have a scene. This scene actually has elements, a camera. If I twirl on the camera, look what happens. We'll see an idea of what the game panel will look like. So right now we have nothing, so we have this blue screen. Alright, so we have a hierarchy, we have our scene, and we have the game. So the game is the view from within the camera. The scene is where you can add objects. And notice when I hit the camera, this becomes populated. When I had nothing, nothing is populated. So this panel called property inspector depends on what exactly is selected in the hierarchy. So in the hierarchy or anywhere, as a matter of fact. Alright, so it will give you options there. So it actually tells you what it is here. In this case, we have a lot more options. We can change the depth, the viewport, the background color, and tons of other nice good stuff, including the position. This is the most important component of all objects. These are called game objects. They're the building blocks, the molecules of all of our scenes, game objects. I say molecules are not atoms because here these are also made up of components. Each game object has components attached to them, and all game objects have this component attached to it. This component is the transform component. Transform component allows one to adjust its position, its size, its rotation, and its scale in terms of the world space. Since we're dealing with 2D, we are only dealing with X and Y, but if it were that we had a 3D, you could actually toggle that and see what that looks like. Alright, so this is how we're looking at 3D space. 2D, 3D. Just press Alt and you can turn. So you see our camera there, and this is how it looks in 3D space. But we are dealing with 2D today, and so yes, so all game objects, just remember all game objects have a transform object, transform component. So all the components are listed in the properties panel. Right now, the main camera has 1, 2, 3 components. A transform, which all game objects have, a camera, which not all, but this one has, and an audio listener, which not all, but this one has. Alright, great. In our sample scene, we're going to create, so this is our inspector. Our inspector again will provide data on anything that's selected. Right down here is where we will have our assets folder. So assets is where we keep all our raw material that we will then use to generate or gain objects, which we will in turn add to our scene, which will then be used in our game. It is advisable, even now, even for small projects, to keep your assets folder tidy and organized. Alright, so we'll start by doing this right now. Let's go ahead and create a folder for all our images, and our images we will call sprites. So we'll create a sprites folder, and since we know we are also going to be dealing with scripting, we're going to go ahead and create a scripts folder. And just one more for good measure, we'll add a fonts folder. Alright, so we have scripts, sprites, and fonts. Alright, so these are the 3 panels that will be 4 panels: hierarchy, scene and game, inspector, and our assets. These panels are going to be what we'll be using throughout the entire video. Alright, so let's go ahead and import some of the sprites or the images that I've already created for this game. And you just right click into the folder and go import new asset. I go ahead and I've done it here. This is this import, and here it is. So we have it here. I'm going to import another one, import new asset. I'm going to import the scroll, import. By the way, the images were generated using Midjourney AI technology, and yeah, so it's kind of cool. So we have that, these two. I think that's enough for us now. Let's go ahead into our next folder, scripts. Well, we'll create this data. Fonts, let's go ahead and import our new font. Import new assets. So in our fonts folder, I have Wizardry Night. Right, let's go ahead with Wizardry Night, TTF, import. I'm going ahead and just do another one to see which one works better. Import new assets, and that would be Beyond Wonderland. I think this one was looking pretty good as well. TTF, import. Alright, great. So I think we are about ready to start building our main scene. So we'll call this scene. Let's rename the scene. Save scene as, and we'll call it main. Alright, so we'll go into scenes and we'll call this main. Alright, save that, and so now it's main. So we have our main scene. I would like to have an opening scene, so we will do that as well. And let's go ahead and go create. Let's go ahead here in our scenes, and we go create scene, and we'll call this scene our splash. Alright, as a matter of fact, I'm deleting the sample scene, so we won't have that anymore. Let's go ahead and create another scene for our results. Alright, so we have three scenes. Splash. I'm just going to drag them in here so that we can see all three of these scenes there. So there's a problem right now, and the problem is that I'm just going to use the try and get this to work. Oh, right, so we want the first thing you'll be greeted with is our splash screen. Splash screen will have a button that says play. Then you'll go to your main. Then you'll go, when you finish the game, you'll go to your result, which will display the result with a button which will invite you to play again. Alright, so this is a typical workflow for most games, and so let's follow that template. So a couple things, we need to add that to our build. So how we do that? We go File, Build Settings, and so we see here right now we have no scenes. So what we'll do is we'll add the open scene. So add open scenes. We can delete this, so this is no longer there. So the first one will be splash, main, then result. That's very good. We're not going to build yet because we don't have anything there, but we're going to save, right? So we need to save our project so far, and we've saved it. All right, so 15 minutes have gone already, and we are continuing. Let's go ahead quickly now into our splash. Let's do a UI to our splash screen. So this one, we will unload the scene. Unload means it's no longer there, and we'll unload the scene, no longer there. So we are working only with splash, one scene at a time. And here we're going to add a create. We're going to create inside of splash. We're going to create a UI element, and we're going to create a canvas element. So this is our canvas, and what we will do here is we will add to our canvas an image. So go to our UI, we're going to create an image object. Right. So first and foremost, you want to know where is the canvas and where is the image. Well, to actually bring up anything or to zoom in on any object on the hierarchy, in the hierarchy, you just double click on it. And so we see it here. Now you're saying, but wait, this goes beyond the bounds of the camera. Well, that's right, because the canvas is a UI element, means that it is separate from the actual 2D space world. It actually exists in the camera. So this is like sort of a hyper realistic camera view. So this is what the camera will see. So we need to, within the bounds of the canvas, we can arrange elements. Alright, couple of things with our canvas. We want to adjust, remember on our inspector, what we said, we have all the transforms, we have the canvas element, and the canvas scaler, we wanted to scale with the screen size. So this will allow us to have multiple screen sizes and have our UI not look different for different screen sizes. So we've put a background image, and actually let's name it background BG. Alright. And now we're going to import that from our sprite. Right. So I'm just going back into my sprites folder. I have one background here. I'll take another as well. Import new assets. Downloads. This guy here. Import him. I think they're identical. They're pretty identical. But that's fine. What we'll do is, okay, so now that I have my background, I'm going to actually make it fill the space. So first let's make the space fill our canvas, and then we'll look here and you see it's looking for in our property inspector, it's looking for a sprite, and this is where this comes in. So let's go ahead and take our sprite. Which one shall we put? Let's put the darker one and put it here, and it sort of looks a little scaled up. Too scaled up for my liking. So let's sort of fix that. Alright, so good. Great. This works for me. Let's also do let's do a flip. Let's flip it. So position, right, position Z. Oh, -1. Oh, 0. Actually, it's the scale we're looking for. Scale -1. Nope, Control Z, it is Z. -1. Nope, it is the X. -1. Alright, great. So we can change this back to 0 by 1. Alright. Okay, so we have our splash screen. Let's do a quick button and we can move on. Let's go ahead and add a UI element. It's going to be a button and TMP essentials. Good, let that finish, and this is our button here. Alright, so notice one thing here. So because this is what we talk about when we talk about okay, so it's going to zoom in into the button. right? Why is this also flipped horizontally or mirrored? The reason for that is because it's a child of the BG component, and the BG component is has a scale of -1 in the x. In other words, it's flipped horizontally. So the reason, so if we want to fix that, we need to unchild it, or basically make it a sibling rather than a child of the BG component. So you pull it outside. Now it's behind the background, so we need to put it in front of the background. And now it is inherited the -1, so we put it back to 1. Great. So here we want this to be play. Alright, so the button component is made up of text. Alright, so we could actually delete the text, or we can keep the text. Let's go ahead and keep the text, and we'll say here play now. Alright, play now. Alright, we want it a little bigger. So Control Z. We want the entire button to be a little bigger, so we go here. Alright, so bring down, zoom out. I'm using the scroll button on my mouse to zoom out, and I'll take it and I'll put this in the center somewhere around here next to our guy. So to see how this will look like in the game, this is what it will look like. So you see, this is why this is important. You can toggle between how the game looks like and how it looks like in the game, and so okay, I don't like this white background, and maybe we can do something with the text. So we've done some fonts, we brought in some fonts. Let's turn them, let's see if we can now add that font here. Now if I wanted to add this font here, notice I can't, because if I were to drag this in here, it says no, because this accepts what? A font asset. So we need to convert these into font assets. So first thing, how we do that? Well, we right click on it, and we go to create, and we go to Text Mesh Pro font asset. So this is this guy, and we need to do the other one, create Text Mesh Pro font asset. Alright, so let's see how this looks like with this font on it. So let's go back up. Come on, right, go back up. So instead of Liberation Sans, right, we're gonna put this in. Oh, this looks kind of cool, but not for this purpose. So I want to take this one instead and put it here, and that looks a lot better. And because I wanted to fill the space a lot better, I will go ahead and say auto size. Alright, so where is it? I don't know why. Okay, so let's just increase the size ourselves manually. For some reason, other thing doesn't work. Alright, do we want this to be black? I'm good with that, but you know what I like? I like yellow here. Let's go ahead and make it yellow, like a kind of, right. And in fact, we'll take the button, and we will have the background color to be transparent. Okay, that's not the background, it's the face. So the button itself, oh, here it is. We'll go to color, and we will make the background like so. Alright, maybe just a little bit, so someone sees the bounds of the stuff. Okay, and it's as simple as that. We have a button. Let's go ahead and say play button, just because we want to be right. Button. Alright, very good. So a couple things. One more thing we need to do is we need to add some script. So let's go ahead and add some script to a script component to our canvas. All right, let's go ahead and add a script component to our canvas. So again, all of these would be game objects. Even though this is a UI, it will be considered a game object, or is an element upon which you can add a game component. So let's go ahead and add a component. There are many different kinds of components. In this case, we just want to do a new script, and we will call this Splash, capital PS. All scripts in C# represent classes, and the convention is all classes should start with a capital letter. Right? Splash, and go create an ad. So when you create an ad, notice first thing, it actually populates. It's actually added to the inspector list here, and so now where is it though? It will be automatically added here in your assets folder. I like to keep my assets tidy, so I put it inside my scripts folder one time. At the same time, very quickly, and inside of here I'm going to open up my Visual Studio. Alright, so it's a very simple deal here. We just want to add a scene manager to go to scene 2. Alright, so we'll do that very simply by doing this. Okay, save or splash. And right, so we want to go to our main scene. Okay, well, let's go ahead. So this is our play button. So let's go to our Visual Studio Code. Alright, so first things first, let's go ahead and link our play button to our editor. To do that, we need to create a public variable, and it's going to be a public TMP Pro asset. It's going to be a TMP RO underscore. Oh, because it's not a text, we'll be targeting the button. So let's say button. Alright, notice when we type button, it includes this namespace, the Unity Engine UI namespace, and we'll call this play button. Alright, so this is going to be public. Why? Because in the editor we will link it there so that we will know what is the play button, what this is referring to in the script. So at the start, we're going to add an event listener. So what we'll do is say play button dot onClick dot add listener, and here is where we're going to go ahead and say, you know what, go to next scene. Actually, you know what, just go to game, go to game. Actually, and so in C# we use Pascal case rather than camel case. If you're accustomed with camel case and you come from the Java or JavaScript world, you need to use, you don't even need that. So here we have a problem. We've created a function, a callback function, but we don't have it created yet. So just to save some time, we just go here and create the method go to game. So boom, and so everything's good. So we have go to game. Let's go ahead and add scene manager. That automatically uses at this namespace. It automatically adds that to our using section or import section. Scene manager dot load scene, and so we can use the scene index. All the build indexes are 0 index, so since it's the second one, So when an array is zero index, the first element is zero, the second one is one, the third is two, etc., etc. So since we want to go to the second one, the index there for that would be one. All right, and semicolon. And honestly, that's it. Control S. When we go back to our editor, All right, and if we look now in our editor at our canvas, notice there is a slot all of a sudden. Under the splash component, which is the script that we just edited and wrote, um, there is now an empty slot called play button. It requires a button component, and right now there is none. So this is how we are linking this component, the play button, to the script that we wrote. So how we do that? Okay, we just simply drag it here and drop it here. Perfect. Test the game now and we should be able to load scene 2. Alright, so if I hit play, it goes to scene 2. Scene 2 has nothing in it now, so naturally we have nothing yet. Alright, so in the next video we will go ahead and do our scene, our main scene or game, but for now we have what we've done so far. We've set up the architecture of our game. We have our splash screen, our main screen, and our result screen. We have a nice background in the user interface. We have a nice button. We've learned how to create a font asset and also to create interactivity using script, and use our scene manager to swap between scenes, right? Just let me show you one last thing, just why we called it build index 1 in our script. All right, when we looked at our script, we said load scene, and this is the build index. We say build index being 1. Why did we say 1 and not something else? That's because of this. So we go File, Build Settings, and notice here we have 0 is our splash. We want to go to the main, so that's why we said the build index is 1. And the last one would be 2. Alright, so far so good. See you in the next video.